everybody, Jock12 back here again with another video, and I'm here to give you my official review for Dragon Ball Super Episode 42. Now, of course, if you haven't seen this episode, please go check it out because this review may contain spoilers. But that being said, let's get into the newest episode of Dragon Ball Super. Now that we're officially done with the Champa Andor's Universe 6 tournament arc and saga, we are now heading towards new territory. And for me personally, I'm very, I guess you could say, iffy about the new saga we're going to enter, because I feel like what Super is kind of going towards is for a very derivative and repetitive storytelling. Because the thing that Super has really been doing is just recapping things and doing the same thing again and again. And as much as I really enjoyed myself with the Champa Universe 6 arc, now that we're entering a completely new tournament arc, it just feels like, do we really need to do that? I mean, like, that's kind of what the same problem the later half of Z kind of had, where it's like, we just finished the Cell games, and then you have the filler on anime, in the anime side, and then we had another Otherworld tournament, and then you enter the Buu saga, and then we have another world tournament. It's like, we don't need a tournament every freaking saga, so that's kind of the problem I'm coming in when it comes to getting into the new saga of Super. However, I'm hoping that they do something that's a little bit more dramatic or compelling now that we have like 12 universes of competitors to fight our team, which is Universe 7, and of course Universe 6 in the future. So we'll have to see what happens and how we gel and transition into that saga, but as it stands, I'm kind of iffy with the whole scenario. But with that being said, we're in between both sagas, and that is of course filler. Yes, this is the filler side of things, and for me personally, this is what I've kind of been wanting to see for a while now, because I love the sagas, I love these story arcs, but I also enjoy filler. I think they're entertaining and fun, and they add a lot, and they just meant to, it's just meant to just, you had this nice time, you sit back, you relax, and you watch some funny shit on the screen. That's pretty much what filler episodes are meant to be for the anime series, and this episode 42 is the definition of that. There's not really anything creative or amazing happening. There's nothing that really is going to explode the Dragon Ball verse. There's nothing that has to add from the previous saga or even the future saga. It's just a have a fun time filler episode, and that's what this episode is, and I loved it. I think it was hands down the funniest episode we've gotten in a while. I mean, I loved how amazingly stupid Goku was. I loved how Beerus, how willing he was to keep this ruse that Monaka was the strongest character ever by disguising himself as Monaka. I loved how Monaka was such a giant wuss in this episode. It was hilarious. He felt like, I think the best example to give between Goku and Monaka's like scenario in this episode is pretty much Goku's like the angry parent, and Monaka is like the little kid who doesn't want to leave the toy store, and they're just dragging each other out. It's just weighing down. You just go, like, anybody can see this kind of shit. Go to like a grocery store, you see a crazy kid who wants to fucking get everything, and the parent's like, we gotta fucking go. That's kind of like what Goku Monaka was. It was hilarious. I loved it. I thought it was just entertaining amongst entertaining episodes. And on top of all this, we got a really good epic fight between Goku and Monaka, and of course I'm using that as a quotation mark method because it's actually Beerus disguised as Monaka, which also was pretty hilarious. It made just a great episode for comedic relief because of this whole, freaking ruse that Beerus created for said Universe 6 tournament in the previous saga. And of course he's just trying to, I guess if you will, continue this ruse so Goku can get stronger for the next tournament, which is obviously the Universe 12 tournament, which will be coming out possibly soon after these filler episodes. So we'll see what happens on that front. But overall, I think the next thing that I really take away from this episode, other than the comedic relief and the entertaining value with that comedy, has to be the fact that this episode used and incorporated other characters that we don't actually see ever do anything. Like Yamcha, Puar, Oolong, freaking Chaozu. I mean, Chaozu got to do something in this episode. I haven't seen Chaozu said or do anything since like in the last 5 years. I don't even know Chaozu even said anything in Super. I don't know. I don't remember. But Chaozu got to do something. Puar got to do something. It was really cool to see other characters that we don't normally ever get to see say anything in like the last 10 years of Z and Super actually get to do stuff. And even though, yes, it's a filler episode, and yes, there's not really anything compelling or some kind of dramatic cinematic thing that's happening in said episode, it's still cool that these are still characters that, even though they're background characters, can still do stuff, and they're still a part of this gigantic Dragon Ball family, if you will. So it was good to see that is incorporated into the episode. Regardless, it was mostly just filler and just background noise for what was really going on, which is, of course, Goku versus Beerus via Monaka costumes. So at the end of the day, it was a pretty good comedic and entertaining episode. Regardless, there is one major problem that I do have with this episode. Yes, it is a filler episode, so it doesn't really matter, but at the end of the day, there's no denying that this episode suffered from terrible animation and terrible freaking artwork. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The animation artwork in this episode sucked a big, fat bag of wieners. It was terrible. It was god-awful. I wanted to throw up in my mouth and cry a little. It was that terrible of an episode when it comes to the animation artwork. It was just god-awful. It was terrible. And granted, maybe that's like Toy Animation's way of like, we gotta save money and we gotta save timing for the new saga so we can incorporate all the good animation in that for the fights and all that kind of craziness. So sure, why not? But at the same time, you did kind of have an epic fight in this one, which was Goku and Beerus Part 2, or at least Part 3 rather, via Monaka costume, which was awesome in its own right and also very comedic because hell, it's Beerus in a freaking Halloween costume. It was pretty hilarious just to look at. So it would have been nice to have some good animation artwork, but this episode didn't. It did not have that by any stretch of the imagination, and it kind of killed the filler episode before it even started. So at the end of the day, this episode suffers from good comedy and entertainment value, yet terrible animation artwork that really destroys the whole, setting. So, and at the end of the day, it's just a filler episode, so it doesn't really mean that much, but at the same time, if this is the slow time period where we're just waning and transitioning into the new saga, it would be kind of cool to just, have some good episodes that are both comedic and well done and well created and crafted. So let me know what you personally think on that. My final verdict for this episode has to be a solid 7 out of 10. It was a good, solid episode. I laughed my ass off all the way through in this episode. It was just so freaking funny. Goku was hilarious. Beerus was hilarious. Monaka, he's a delivery boy. What else can you say? It's just hilariously awesome. I mean, Monaka's just funny just to look at. He's a calamity amongst calamities. He's just that funny. And then, of course, Beerus disguising himself as Monaka to fight Goku was also hilarious, and how everyone was reacting, and how Yamcha fucked it all up, and it was just a hilarious episode. But my final verdict is a solid 7 out of 10. It's just a filler episode, so it's not really anything, magnificent or over the top and epic. It's just filler. So, but let me know what you personally think in the comments section below about this episode. Next week, of course, next episode, we have the Pan episode, which I'm very interested to see because, granted, it's the return of the Pilaf gang, and the Pilaf gang has really been just, once again, background noise with Super. They really haven't done anything of relevancy in comparison to the movies. So I'm kind of interested to see how they're incorporated in the filler moments of Super. But at the same time, I'm also very interested to see how Pan fits in the whole thing. Now that she's the first female Saiyan to be a part of this world, is she going to, do some kind of crazy stuff as a baby? I mean, we did get to see a scene of her powering up or whatever, so there's some shit to look forward to in that episode. But at the end of the day, I'm just looking forward to these entertaining and fun filler episodes before we get into the 12 Universes tournament. So, but let me know what you personally think in the comments section below. Shameless plug time. Of course, check out my newest Super manga reviews. Of course, I just put out my review for Chapter 11 of the manga, and of course, I did an unboxing for Dragon Ball Super Volume 1, so please check that out as well. And of course, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, @JohnCh12, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And this has been JohnCh12.